Hey there, hey there, hey there. Listen, I just got this reel actually several times this week. And it's a young lady who's talking about over 300,000 Black women have left the US workforce. And that is either they were laid off, some were fired, some retired, and some just simply walked away, right? And here's the truth, a large number of them are now looking to live and work abroad. But here's the warning, if you pack your American hustle mindset with your luggage and you go live abroad, then you'll create the same stress that you had in the US where you're currently going, right? And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I also want to talk to you about how to create the life that you want to live. So, if this is the first time for you meeting me, my name is Cha Jones. I'm an expat coach. I've been doing that for about 15, 16 years. I first lived abroad as a traditional expat, and then I moved abroad as a non traditional expat, or what I self coined as the self initiated expat. So, I also do life coaching through Soft Life. Now, not through that trend, oh, it's beautiful and luxurious and all the things, right? I believe that a soft life is something that you divinely need. And that doesn't mean that you're lazy. That doesn't mean that you don't work. That doesn't mean that, you know, you have all of the things and that you go get you some European man who can take care of you, right? I just want to keep it real with you. I do believe that soft living is about creating a lifestyle that's sustainable where you don't have to hustle. So that's why I want to talk about 5 things that I think are extremely important as you consider being a Black woman in these international streets. And I want to talk about the first thing, which is a mindset. Now, so we have been taught that America is about the grind, it's about the hustle, it's about, making things happen, getting out there and doing it. So we all know that Black women, especially in America, are the highest educated. We have proven ourselves. We have moved up the corporate ladder. We've hit that glass ceiling, and now we're exhausted because we've done all the things. And most of it has been in our masculine energy. We have not done it as in feminine, divine feminine energy. We have done the doing of things. And I'm telling you, we don't need to do that, right? Especially if you're going to move abroad, because this is the thing. When you live abroad, for the most part, depending on where you're going to live, most of the time, life is totally different. People value building relationships, people value connectivity. Um, America, my master's degree is in intercultural communications. I've been working with relocation companies for over 14 years, 14, 15 years as an intercultural communication specialist. And so one of the things is that we have high context cultures and we have low context cultures. High context cultures are those cultures that believe in connectivity. So before you go do business with them, they want to know you. How's your family? Like, tell me a story about who you are. They actually want to sit down and eat with you. You don't come in and say, "All right, listen, I got a business opportunity. Let's get that," because they're not going to hear you because it's high connectivity and connection, right? Those are countries like Mexico, or continents like Africa, South America. Those those are where you're going to connect with people. So you cannot go as your American self sitting down talking about let's grind because they're not hearing it because they're not in grind culture. So before you go, know this. Number two, um, let's go into low context culture. Those are US based countries like, European countries like Germany, time matters, America, let's get to business. These are dominantly white cultures because it's a culture where I don't really care about who you are, what you do, how you do it. I want to know what's the ROI, the return on my investment. When I sit down with you, I need a return on my time. I need a return on my money. I need a return on my efforts, right? And so it's important to know that depending on where you're going, especially if you're going to a high context culture, you can't do business as usual. And I want you to consider, when you consider moving abroad, especially if it's your very first time, consider allowing things to happen and stop going into things with the disposition, I have to create. Creating is a very masculine energy in the sense of making things happen, right? Creativity can be very feminine if you allow it to come through and you are creating out of a space of not need but desire and ease and flow, right? So a lot I see this often that black women show up in a country and they like it ain't moving fast enough or they not doing this or and you got all this angst. Slow down. We not doing that. Like it's not a performance. This is literally you have the opportunity to live slower, easier, and a lot of times with the flow of your money coming to you because you're not actually making it, you're allowing it and then you're attracting it. So that's my first thing that I would like to tell people that we gonna have to release that hustle culture because moving abroad is a chance for you to lower your expectations in the sense of things have to move in a very quick, fast, hurried uh style versus allowing. So that's the first thing I would say. Second thing I would say is redefine success. Ask what does fulfillment look like outside of a job title, my 401 pays, and grind validation? What does that look like? Because success abroad often comes with ease. It comes with building relationships. It's about having community. It's about connecting on passion projects. It's about having your family with you. Oftentimes, you can live a more or at least expensive life, a less expensive life, doing things that you absolutely love, having more time and freedom and flexibility, which creates abundance. And so you may not make the same amount of money. You may not have to perform as much. You can live better. You can have all the things that you can't afford in the US. If you have a family, you can have a nanny. You can have a housekeeper. You can have somebody that does your gardening. All the things that would have cost you a gazillion dollars to put in a budget in the US, you don't no longer have to do those things. So change your mindset and think about what success means for you. What does living like really mean to you? What how do you define your lifestyle? Because your lifestyle can be completely different if you change your mindset. And so you cannot compare it to US standards. And that's where I think a lot of black women, when they're moving abroad, they get it twisted because they come with the same expectations that they had in the US. When number one, we're not comparing apples to apples. And you're not. And you have a better opportunity to create wealth not with a whole bunch of money, but wealth with time, wealth with connectivity, wealth with networking and opportunities to meet people who have the same mindset and who want to do something and not have to be working all the time. So sometimes that is the hardest thing for women when I see them move abroad. The third thing is building soft streams of income. Instead of chasing the job or the bag, as they say, focus on flexibility, aligned income, consulting with content and coaching and contracts, and not necessarily a 9 to 5. I think it's much easier for you to start thinking more creative about how you can make money, especially in the actual economy in which you're living. Oftentimes, we try to go abroad and we take US money and go abroad. But I want to tell you this. I think in the next 5 years, US is going to be belly up in, as far as economics. I mean, it's already there. But it's going to be important that as you go live in these economies, and I know sometimes you like, for instance, I moved to Mexico 4 years ago. And while I was living in Mexico, I had US money, right? And then I had I have a business. I had a large contract, so I was making really good money. And but before that happened, when I first got there, it was the midst of COVID. And so I had to make money on the Mexican economy. Still had money coming in from the US in the sense of my patrons or the people that I was serving were Americans and they had US dollar, right? So I could price things a little bit higher because I was dealing with Americans. The thing is, when you learn to position yourself where you are dealing more in that economy and anything else is an overflow, you position yourself in a better position. So I say this that as the US starts to decline, it's going to be more important that you are able to capitalize off of being in a particular country and be in their economy, meaning that you're doing business in that particular currency. That is going to be important. So, if you're creating a business, think about creating a Mexican based business. Think about creating a Brazilian based business. Think about creating a Portuguese business where you are definitely dealing with the currency and you can deal with the locals because that's where you're going to see the larger amount of your money expand. I know we've had this mentality where I'm bringing US money, and that's great because that takes you above and beyond. But what happens when the US economy, and we're seeing this, where the currency is declining, and therefore you're not getting as much money, you're not getting the bang for your money, right? Your money is not expanding like for instance, when I first went to Mexico, the US dollars, you got 20 pesos to $1. That's 21. Do the math. I mean, make it make sense, right? It is working in your behalf. However, it got to the point where it was like 16, 17 pesos to $1. Not, and that's still winning because you get 16 for one. Whereas in Malaysia, for instance, it got down to like 4 to 1. So 4 to 1, not so great. When I go to a country when it's 20 to 1. But when you start learning how to live in that culture, in that country off of their currency, then you really winning. So I'd like to put that out there as well. Um, and then use your existing skills. Can cook. So when I was in Mexico, I became a caterer. I started cooking. I started hosting parties because I enjoy doing that. And it was easy for me to get in where I fit in. So think outside of the box. What do you love to do? What hobbies do you have that can translate into that culture and in that economy where you're not grinding and trying to stay up all night in a different country trying to work in a whole nother country. So there's some benefits to being able to have an established business in the country in which you are in. All right. The fourth thing that I wanted to suggest is that you practice receiving, not proving. And that's very hard for Black women, I see. Feminine energy is about magnetizing, not chasing. It's about attracting what it is that you want. Being abroad, um, you have connections, you have opportunities. There's housing that is often that comes at a lower rate. You can build community, you can have more openness. You have all of these things that allow you to be in a position where you're not hustling. And the minute that you learn that you don't have to grind as hard as you did, I'm not saying sit around, don't do anything, but allow things to start coming to you. Figure out what it is that you want, write it down, get very clear about it, and then start pulling that stuff in, attracting it to you, not going out there trying to make it happen. And that's a learned skill that is reverse everything that you've been taught in the US. And so you really have to sit with that. But it's the art of manifestation. I could talk about that all day long on a different thing. But right now, I just want to pull that in as that's one of the steps that I think is important as you remove the hustle mentality, that you start learning how to manifest and attract things to you because you're aligned with the flow. The fifth thing is create rituals of alignment. That means journaling, meditating, grounding yourself, giving yourself the time, the freedom, and the flexibility to sit and be cool with that, where you're not constantly doing and making and creating things to just happen for you. Replace what do I need to do with who do I want to be or become? Who do I want to become? And actually a whole create that person. Like, stop thinking from where you are currently, but when I move abroad, what kind of lifestyle do I want to have? How do I want to show up? How do I want to dress? What time do I want to wake up? If you used to waking up 5 a.m., getting you a cup of Joe, and then getting your day started, grinding, doing all these things, how do I want to wake up? Do I want to slowly get out of the bed and start my day, enjoy my moments, look outside the window, take in the nice air without all the toxins? Do I want to go walking slowly through the forest? I don't know. Whatever makes your heart beat, do you. But think about the lifestyle that you want to live. How does that person wake up and show up every day? How do they get their day started? Thinking from the end, create that. And even before you even get ready to go move abroad, I think it's important. And I always tell my clients, describe that life that you want to live. Become her. Because if you're going to take the same thing that you was doing in America over here to Italy, Spain, Portugal, Colombia, wherever it is you plan on going, then what are you moving for? Just to change localities? How can you show up differently? How can you create the life that you've always yearned to have? Because a lot of you have dreamt of having an easier life, but didn't know how to create it. A lot of you have been thinking about how to wake up and be in peace, not chasing a bag, allowing things to come to you, having ease and flexibility, right? That is what people yearn for and can't have. And then they wait till they're retired. And then when they retire, their ass ends up dead 5 days later. So, I mean, sorry. But you get what I'm saying. Like, you can have those things now. You don't have to put them off until you're retired or too old to appreciate them, too tired to do them. You can do them now. But think about what it is that you want to do to put in place so that you can have those things. And then carry practices that anchor you in softness and not in grind, and remove the old patterns. And when you start seeing those old patterns come up, prime example, I see Black women go to restaurants abroad and they don't appreciate the fact that you can sit there for 5 hours and ain't nobody gonna kick you out. Ain't nobody gonna come over here pestering you about the bill. They're gonna allow you to enjoy. They're gonna allow you to keep eating. They're gonna allow you to laugh, ha ha ha, kiki, and ha ha, all for 5 hours. And I see so many Black women be like, okay, but is he gonna come over here with the bill? No, he's not. You're gonna have to ask for it. That's one of the pleasures of being able to just be, and appreciate and live. So no, he's not coming over here to ask you for the damn bill. He's going to allow you to ask him when you are ready to leave. And that is at the first hour or the fifth hour. They don't really care. And they're not worrying about getting the next person in, because the next person's going to come when they're going to come, and they're going to sit down when they can sit down. And they're not worried about all that stuff. And it's not hurry up and eat and go. Enjoy yourself. Be at peace. Enjoy your company. So don't take all that mess that you had in New York, DC, LA, Chicago. Don't bring all that to this new place. Be at peace. Enjoy it. And so, hey, these are my 5 things I think that you need to do, or to create, to have a better mindset as you're moving abroad. Money will come, and we'll talk about that more this week. But the mindset has to change. So I just want to say, as you exit country and decide that you want to do something different, you can do those things. And if you need help doing those things, I'm your girl. I'll be glad to help you. Look down in the description on how you can work with me. Have a discovery call. I would love to be able to assist you. Again, I've been doing this for over 15 years. This is my 16th year, going on my 17th year. And I absolutely love working with people. But, you know, I've been thinking like, okay, how do I transition from living abroad and doing work, not necessarily living abroad, because I will always find some way to live abroad. However, I was thinking to myself, do you really want to talk about travel? Do you really want to do this? And how do you just embrace the softer life? And I think no matter whether you're living in the US or if you're living abroad, you deserve not to be in burnout hustle mode. You deserve to have a great quality of life. And you can have that whether you're part of that 300,000 that is, you know, lost their job and they are going to find something to do in the US, or you're actually going to get you a passport and then move abroad. Either way, I think having the best quality of life, that is what really makes living living. So, if I can help you, I'll be glad to do that. Also, if you are not on my Substack, baby, come on over to Pens and Passports. I'm writing about my messy realignment because I just had to move from Malaysia back to the US. And baby, it was not what I expected because I expected to be living in Spain. But right now, I am back in the US and I'm making it do what it do. But in the meantime, in between time, you can hear about it and you can, I guess, read about it in my Substack. And I'll put the link down in the description. Until next time, remember, life is what you make it. You can either make it great or you can climb a ladder and try to make it what everybody else is doing. But you really have the opportunity to make it whatever it is that you want. And for you to do that, you have to know what you want. And then you have to position yourself to get it. So until next time, peace.